As we welcome in former Vancouver Canuck, TSN hockey analyst, one-time Bo Horvat roommate, and childhood friend of Jordan Binnington, the one and only Francesco Corrado.
What's up, boys? How we doing?
How you doing?
Good.
Yeah. I was having the same thoughts, I think, as a lot of people in Vancouver during that game, especially when Bo scored that goal. Like, what could have been, man? Like, there's not too many teams that would have a player who's playing on this Team Canada who have said, you know what? It's not for me. Right? Like, it's not like he came out of nowhere and this, like, he's a late bloomer and he's going to catch you by surprise. He was the 10th overall pick back when he was drafted. Like, he was the captain of your team. And basically they just said, nah, we're good. And now he's playing on Team Canada. And good for Bo. Good for Bo. I was so happy to see that for him today. He deserves it.
Hell of a goal.
Yeah.
We are asking on our Yellow Dog poll question, would the Canucks be in this predicament if they had chosen Bo over JT? What says you?
That's a loaded question, man. There's a lot of, I guess, trickle down effect from that. How different does it look today? I mean, if you just swap out the one move, I guess it erases some of the drama last year. But what it doesn't erase is the declining performance from the guy who's supposed to be your first line center. So, are you?
But you've traded JT Miller at a high, though, because you would have had to have traded Miller at that point. You would have traded JT Miller on a 100-point season.
You would have got a haul for him back then, too. Like, that would have been teams salivating to get him at that point. And I can understand why the Canucks would want him, but it just, why did it have to come at the expense of Bo? That just, that was the part that really stings you, I think, when you look back at it. Anyways, you didn't even ask me. I went there right away.
Yeah, well, that was the most. Although, hey,
you are so attuned to this market and this fan base and Canucks Twitter, Frank, that you knew exactly where this was going.
You could have chosen
no notes.
You could have chosen North Shore Winter Club product Macklin Celebrini getting on the board as well, opening the account. So there was another Vancouver tie-in as well here, Frank, and that also gets people in the Canucks sphere, a little bit angry because they would love the hometown kid to have been wearing Canucks colors in some way, shape, or form.
For sure. And our boy Rick, former head of sports science for the Vancouver Canucks, when I was there, helped me with a little injury rehab. He got a lot of airtime, so that was great. But man, Macklin Celebrini, for a guy who was debated for a lot of this season as far as should he be on that team, is he too young, has he played the big games? Not only did he play in the game, he rode shotgun with the best player in the world in McDavid, who had an incredibly dominant performance in his own right. But Celebrini was winning puck battles, coming up with pucks, left, right, and center, making plays, juking and like shaking people off. And you're like, I can't believe we ever even thought to have those conversations about this kid. He was unbelievable out there, and absolutely deserves to be playing where he's playing in that lineup, and he can roll with a guy like McDavid.
17-14 of ice time, near the top of the forwards in terms of ice time. He doubles Bo Horvat. I mean, we talked about Bo Horvat. Macklin Celebrini played twice as much as Bo Horvat. That's how much they trusted the kid.
Macklin Celebrini is twice the player Bo Horvat is.
Well, and that's
certainly will be.
That's not a slight to Bo when you say that, right? Like, that is.
I don't mean it that way. No,
that's this Macklin Celebrini kid is a top 5 player in the NHL. That's how good he is. So, it was interesting, right? Because that line with Wilson and Celebrini, it's two guys that didn't play on the Four Nations team that would have no reason to really have any chemistry with Connor McDavid. And if you think about it, you're like, well, how does this allow the best player to be the best player, right? Because you don't want to hamstring the guy who's supposed to be a dominant force out there. Instead, all it felt like was McDavid was flying, Celebrini was getting pucks, Wilson was in on the forecheck. Like, I thought that line worked really well together, and we'll see if Cooper continues to keep it together.
It's only one game, but guys like Bennett and Marchand play 7 and 9 minutes respectively. As we wax about one kid, should Bedard have been there playing those 10 minutes and being used as a as a periodic weapon? Because I don't know that Marchand and Bennett qualify as periodic weapons.
No, but I like what Bennett brings to the table. Like I'm happy he's on the team when it's all said and done. I know it was a bit of a weird journey for him to get on the team, but even was it in the first period, he gives Dostal a little bit of a bump in the crease, and you're like, that's Sam Bennett stuff, right? And just not everyone has to do what Celebrini does. Not everyone has to have that skill set. I think it's okay to have Brad Marchand, who makes the great play on the Horvat goal, right? Like a bit of a veteran savvy kind of play. So I'm okay with, it's hard to start nitpicking things after, was it 5-0 win, where it's, you're largely in control and it never feels like you're out of control and the team got better as the game went on. I like the dynamic that the team has at this point.
That might be the fourth best team in the tournament, though, Czechia, by the way. We'll see how it pans out.
Who were very representative through a couple of periods. As a matter of fact, when the 2-0 goal goes in for Mark Stone, the shots are 16-15.
Shots, but chances way in Canada's favor.
Sure, but I mean, Czechia is the first period went long.
They hung around.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just talking about
the second Czechia got better. Like Czechia was playing in the offensive zone a little bit more in the second period, whereas in the first, it was kind of what I expected from Czechia. A rush chance here, a one-and-done chance there. But Jordan Binnington made that really big save in the first period that I think when you look back at the game, you're like, 5-0. Like, what does that really matter? If teams score early on Canada and they feel like they can be in the game, right? Like that gives them a little confidence that they can hang with a team like Canada. So ultimately you break it open, but I like the fact that there was no like Czechia thinking, hey, we got this. It never got to that point.
Yeah, the 5 could have been a 3, 4, 5, or 6. It wouldn't have mattered. The 0 matters, doesn't it? Given all of the question marks going into this tournament, the 0 matters.
Indeed, it does. Yeah. I was just about to ask him, and for those who don't remember, Frank Corrado grew up north of Toronto playing his minor hockey with Jordan Binnington, right? You've told us the story many, many times.
Yes.
A word or two about your boy, because he comes into this tournament as the single worst starting goaltender in the National Hockey League by the stats this year, and yet much like the Four Nations last year, when he was tested, he was up for the challenge. What do you think this means? A word or two on his performance, and then what do you think this means for the Canadian starting cage going forward?
His performance was good. It was solid. I think the big save that he makes in the first period, I can't remember who it's on, but he makes that big one in the first period. And that one, more than any other one, you just feel like, okay, he's got it. He knows that this is a 2-week sprint, and he can be mentally sharp and dialed in for that. And whatever was going on with the St. Louis Blues this year, it's like it's not in the equation for him. So, and to our point earlier about how that game went, where some decent chances, not like, the most high quality, but enough quantity for sure. And then a little more ozone time in the second period for Czechia. I think you leave that game, if you're John Cooper and his coaching staff, knowing where you stand with Binnington, right? Like if that was a game against France and they only gave up 9 shots and you're like a couple dribblers on net, like we didn't learn anything about him. I think they learned where he's at mentally, and there would be a growing belief in the fact that like he can replicate what he did last year at the Four Nations. With that being said, Jordan Binnington probably doesn't have to be their best player until the medal round, right? Like, and even then, you're probably like, I would love for him to not have to be the best player. I would love for McDavid to be the best player, or McKinnon or Crosby, and just not leave it up to a goalie duel. But if push comes to shove and it could get there, I think you have some belief that he could do it again.
Tom Wilson was controversial as well. He was a freight train. All of this is sort of with an eye towards a U.S. showdown, of course.
Love him walking the red line too pregame.
Patrolling,
That's right.
Patrolling the borders.
Yeah. Just letting everybody know, if you're scoring on Canada, here's who you're coming through.
What'd you think?
I thought he was as advertised, but maybe even a little smarter than we would have thought. And what I mean by that is, I thought late in that game, or late-ish in the game, there's some opportunities for him to maybe spark something or hit someone. And it's like, I don't need to do that right now. Right. And that was going to be the biggest question mark around Tom Wilson on this team, is the blending of NHL and IIHF rules and how that gets governed and how he gets caught up in the middle of it. Can you pick your spots accordingly? And that was something that I took out of this performance from Wilson, where it wasn't like he got to the Olympics, put on a Team Canada jersey, and said, I'm Superman now, and I'm going to run everyone through the boards. And if it costs me a 5-minute major, then, we'll clean up the mess afterwards. It didn't look like that for him. I thought he was calculated in how he approached the physical aspect of the game. And maybe that's part of playing with McDavid. Maybe he realizes there's a sense of responsibility that you have to pick your spots properly and also be able to make plays with the puck, which I think could improve. His play with the puck can improve. I don't think it was his sharpest game as far as the plays that he made, but that's okay. It's a little bit of a feeling out process.
That is an exceptional point, Frank, that playing with Connor McDavid probably tamps down the animal a little bit, who understands the game at hand. I was talking yesterday about how I hadn't thought of this line combination, but I think it's absolutely brilliant from Cooper, because the flip side of that is nobody is messing with Connor McDavid or the 19-year-old kid Macklin Celebrini when Tom Wilson's on their right wing, huh?
No, and not that I thought it was going to get Four Nations-y. The temperature is going to pick up for sure, especially when they play the Americans. We'll see, if they end up playing the Swedes, how much that kind of stuff comes into play. But I almost look at it like you're getting ready for a game against the Americans, and you want to give these guys a little runway to see how it works before you just slap them on that line and say, hey, Kachuk's running around. Can you go play with Connor for a bit? But it's not early in Connor's career anymore either, where he needed Cassian or Lucic or whoever. He holds his own. That hit McDavid had tonight was unbelievable. I don't think he's ever hit anyone that hard in his life.
No, I know. McKinnon with the reverse hit down in the offensive zone below the goal line. I mean, when your best players are playing that physically, and they are our two best players, that is extraordinary stuff.
So we've got some skilled players that are big dudes, like McKinnon. You mentioned a horse. Horvat's a horse too. There's a bunch of heavy dudes.
Yeah. There was a bit of a line combination switch. Well, there wasn't a bit. There was a line combination switch. We thought that Sam Reinhart was going to play on McKinnon's right flank with Brandon Hagel on the other side, and that Nick Suzuki was going to patrol right wing alongside Bo and Brad Marchand. He flipped that. Suzuki ended up playing with McKinnon and scores a goal, right?
Yeah.
Scores the opening goal.
Yeah, he did.
And so do you think that is based on the familiarity of Reinhart and Marchand, the two Florida Panthers? Talk to me about how much you think being club teammates matters in a short tournament with the short preparation time.
That was my take on it. Is that Reinhart and Marchand, they have some face-off plays that they want to run together. You could even see it. You can see them communicating sometimes off face-offs, just having a little bit of eye contact or just a head nod. So that was something that stuck out to me. The other thing is when Bo didn't take a shift, it was Bennett taking the shift, and there's your Florida Panthers trio that would go out there at the same time. So I think, right, as much as anything, familiarity wise, it was also an opportunity for John Cooper to say that I don't necessarily have to worry about this line. That's three Panthers. They go out there, even if they don't play together with Florida, it's one less thing for me to have to worry about when I throw them over the boards, and I can coach some other things for the time being.
Yeah, I hear you there. My one comment going forward is I think Reinhart is our best goal-scoring winger. I mean, if you want to consider Macklin a winger now, okay, fair enough. But I think Reinhart is our best goal-scoring winger, and I would like to see Reinhart play with the more creative offensive centerman than Bo Horvat or Sam Bennett. But
I get that.
We're picking nits on a 5-0 win. So.
And I think the ice time is an interesting thing to look at in this game, guys, because they had a lead, so Cooper was allowed to balance some of his ice time. I mean, Connor McDavid plays 18 minutes. I mean, that is a walk in the park for Connor McDavid. And they get down to 6 defensemen because Morrissey leaves, and we can get your comment on that too. But Harley, who I didn't even think would dress for this game, plays 21 minutes, picks up a couple of assists. We wondered about Harley's role on this team, if he would even have one. And he has the biggest one. He has the most ice of anybody.
I thought he was phenomenal. I thought Thomas Harley was really good and absolutely warranted getting all that ice time. You know, you don't want to see Josh Morrissey go down. He should be an important player on the back end. But what Harley did, kind of stepping up, playing with Drew Doughty, who, you know, smart player for a long time, has seen a lot in his career. Like, I think that just helps Thomas Harley a little bit, just with the predictability of knowing they were really clean on zone exits together. I thought they worked together, bringing the puck up the ice. It was. They complemented each other perfectly. So I'm not surprised based on what we saw last year from Thomas Harley when he kind of joined that Four Nations team and he fit right in, and he played bold last year. He didn't shy away from it. Like, he didn't just say, I'm the new guy here and I'm, you know, going to keep it super safe. And I think that was a continuation of that, is what we saw in this game where, you know, he held on to it an extra second longer if he had to make a play. So he was a standout for me on the back end. One thing I did want to say, Matt, on the Reinhart thing, and you know, John Cooper is notorious for blending lines together like crazy. I don't know what you guys thought, but it looked pretty consistent to me in this game. Like, the blender wasn't really out there. And no. I thought that maybe would have been the case early in the tournament, but he also probably has to have it in the back of his mind, guys, that if you want to find chemistry, you have to give guys some runway. And so you don't get the blender out early. And with the Reinhart thing, you know, playing fourth line, one of the better scoring wingers on the team, he's also on the first power play unit because he's the best bumper guy, right? And on the other unit, Horvat is also a really good bumper guy, and he's a left-handed shot. So it's two different ways of attacking it with the handedness of the shots, right?
No, that's
so he'll get a
Yep.
lot of looks that way still.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I also think Reinhart's one of our best defensive wingers, too. So I just don't want to see the pride of West Van get lost there in the shuffle.
There's no way he'll get lost.
He's too good a player to get lost.
2 games in 2 days.
Well, and the other thing is, good on the head coach of the Tampa Bay Lightning for understanding that the three Panthers together might be a thing, because we know how heated that rivalry has become.
Yes, but they are the 3 low-minute guys on the day, too. So you could read that 2 different ways. Yes, you can play together, but I'm not going to use you much.
I suppose you can. Yeah. We just had the graphic up on the Morrissey injury, Frank. How big a loss? And you were 100% right on Harley. I was skeptical of taking Harley on this team because his season hasn't gone as well, but holy cow, was he great at the Four Nations last year. He was terrific again tonight. Elliot seems to think that it would be Shea Theodore of Aldergrove who gets more ice time if Morrissey is down. What's your sense of how big a loss Morrissey would be if he can't go?
Just to give everyone their justice that they deserve being on this team. Anyone that goes down is an important player. They're all really good. Josh Morrissey is no different, right? Like, he wasn't, to start the game, he wasn't running the second power play unit. That was Shea Theodore. So for me, that tells me Josh Morrissey is going to be relied upon to get the puck out of his zone cleanly, to make plays at the offensive blue line, and to transition the puck at 5-on-5. That's what you need him for. So if he's out of the lineup, okay, you'll need Travis Sanheim to do some of that stuff. And I have no doubt that he can do that. Maybe not as, not to say that it's not as efficient, but Josh Morrissey's so smooth. Like, it's like sometimes he's gliding on the ice or just hovering over it. It's amazing, like how efficiently he does things, and clearly not the biggest guy. So is it going to sink them? No. It just means that the other guys that we saw tonight, Harley playing more, Theodore playing a ton, and Sanheim eventually getting in the mix, will just have to do those things. Get the puck out of your zone clean, transition it, be able to make a play on the offensive blue line.
The fastest players on the planet were on the ice. It was only 197 feet long. And I didn't notice a thing, Frank. Did you? It looked pretty fine.
No, I didn't know. I didn't notice the ice. Did you? Like
the quality, bouncy puck a little bit, but yeah. I mean that sometimes happens. But the size, the feel of the confines, no, did not notice.
No, it didn't feel like they were playing at like a 3-on-3 sized rink or anything like that. And even the center ice circle, you know, I've played in some American League barns where it is condensed ice. And it always shrinks the neutral zone more. And you look at the center ice circle, and it's like close to touching the blue lines.
Right.
I still thought there was a decent amount of room there. I could hardly notice anything. It's hard to tell.
I'm going to take a rare L here, because when we were discussing the line combinations, I said I didn't love the fact that Marner wasn't with McKinnon or McDavid, because I thought Marner is our best creator off the wing. This one over here went, but he's playing him with Crosby and Stone being the standstill shooter, and that's a pretty good mix. And sure enough, Marner to Stone on the 2-0 goal.
More teammates too.
And they're also Vegas Golden Knights teammates. But you played with Mitch, and you know Mitch, and watched him all those years in Toronto. I think that's a huge weapon here because of who we've got down center ice and how good a goal scorers McDavid, McKinnon, Crosby, and even Horvat are. I mean, in a lot of cases, you're talking about a couple of shoot-first centermen there.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and you could see that Mitch's thinking is to pass first, right? Like he has that one play where he slices and dices right down Main Street and like couldn't decide if he wanted to pass or shoot, got caught somewhere in the middle, and then eventually makes that play to Stone on the goal. Like that is, I don't know. There's 7 people in the world who could make that pass that Marner made in that short little distance there and have it land perfectly on his blade. So that's Mitch Marner. Like that's the creative genius that he is. He took a lot of heat in Toronto for not being able to have those types of moments in big games. But on a team like this, it's not the Mitch Marner show. It's just, can you do your thing around a group of unbelievably talented players? And that line, you know, Sidney Crosby's never been known as like a shutdown centerman. He's been known as a grinder who's incredibly skilled. Like that's the, you know, if you were going to go against the grain and describe him, that's a good way of doing it, in my opinion. You know, you put him on the ice with Stone and Marner, 2 of the better defensive wingers in the NHL. It feels like the puck was around them a lot. And why wouldn't it be? Like those guys just seemingly always have it in their usual games they play.
Blake, just dawned on me, but think of how Olympic team adjacent Frank Corrado is. Grew up playing hockey with Binnington. Roommates with Bo Horvat. Mm-hmm. Little Tyke Macklin Celebrini running around as Rick, his papa, is working on Frank's knee or whatnot. His boy Marner, who he played with in Toronto.
Broadcast Suzuki now. Did you ever cross Tom Wilson growing up playing hockey? I know he's a Toronto boy too.
Well, no, Tom Wilson, I trained with him for a couple summers at the BioSteel operation here in TO. So I saw him quite a bit. That was where Phil DiGiuseppe was training with us too.
PDG.
Yeah. PDG. Would have liked to see him out there playing for the Italians.
Right? Like if ever there was a name made for the Italian team.
Shout out to the Italian team, man.
Hey,
that was a great effort.
Pretty good.
That was a great effort.
Pretty good.
Why isn't Nick playing? Have you heard why Nick Patan isn't playing?
Yes, I can tell you exactly why.
Why?
He's got to go play his 2 years in Italy if he wants to play for that team.
Alex hasn't played 2 years in Italy.
Oh, for sure he has.
I don't think so.
If we type in his name, this is the thing. So if you're a Canadian guy and you have your Italian passport, you have to go play.
Alex hasn't played a minute in Italy. He's Austrian. He's been playing in the Austrian league.
You ready, brother?
Yeah.
Here we go. He played 2 years for Bolzano HC. That is in Italy. So his residence for those 2 years was in Italy, even though
but he's in the Austrian
plays
league.
in the Austrian league. And then he went back for 2 more years to Valpusteria, who plays in the Austrian league. But it didn't matter at that point because he's already cleared to play. Now, here's the interesting wrinkle, okay? If you ever played for Team Canada at an under 17, an under 18, or a World Junior, you got to play 4 years.
4 years.
Oh,
Quattro.
You got to play. So you got to play for either Bolzano or Valpusteria for 4 years. And those are the ones you want to play for because they play in the Austrian league. They don't play in the Italian league. Like I had a buddy who played in the Italian league, and they practiced at 7 p.m. every day. And I said, why do you guys practice at 7 p.m. every day? He goes, because all the locals have jobs.
Yep.
They're like, 2 guys on my team are bankers. A few guys are construction workers. A couple guys are like toll key. I go, what? He goes, yeah, what do you think this is over here? Like, this is like half a hobby.
Not a
for
bougie
some of these
league.
guys,
Yeah, exactly.
right?
Nick
Valpusteria. I love it.
And Nick doesn't get any credit for playing for Ambri Piotta, an Italian-speaking club, albeit in
It's
Switzerland.
an Italian-speaking community in Switzerland, which is an amazing place to be and play. But no, he doesn't get
Not Italy.
Doesn't get it. Doesn't get the credit.
At least not until they annex Switzerland.
We don't talk about that.
Annexations, big around the world these days. Okay. We've kept you 28 good minutes. Thank you, Frank Corrado. Much appreciated. You made us smarter on this, as you do each and every week. Until then.
Okay, boys. See ya.